You think about it because our mission is to protect our history and preserve our heritage. Through doing Washington's armor is when I really kind of realized that, and we had. I thought I was a history buff, but when I started researching Washington's life and prior to the Revolutionary War and all that, it's like, man, where's this? It's not in history books. I didn't hear any of this stuff. And then we started digging into the heritage, and our heritage is made up of three elements, which is the fabric, things that we can see, feel, touch. Go to the museums and we can see this, and then it's the stories that you hear, the stories that you feel, and then it's our culture. It's where it came from.
Yeah.
And so that's our heritage.
Next level, we're reaching for the sky. Next level, thinkers.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Next Level Thinkers, a charting New Horizons of Brilliance podcast. Zach Kepple is an American patriot, a storyteller, and a small-town Texan with 30 years in entertainment. His mission is simple and clear: protect our history and preserve our heritage by spotlighting the people and places that keep the Western way of life, God, country, and family at the center. He co-created Washington's Armor, authored Prayers for Our Nation, and Take the Pledge. What guides his work is a simple code: show up where the work is done, keep people whole, and make what's at stake tangible, then connect it to heritage and show who it serves. From the Small Town America podcast to his travel vlog, Zach records real places, arenas, fairgrounds, and main streets where commitment takes shape and character is taught. Zach.
Man, brother, thank you, man. You make me sound like I'm somebody important.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what did you think about that? I always ask my guests, was there something in that intro that you go, whoa, like, oh my God, it is.
Yeah, when you said 30 years, I thought, man, I've been doing this for 30 years. You don't think about it sometimes when you do it, but yeah.
Yeah, Zach, I was telling you off camera that, we met over, I think we were in the same place at the same time. I don't think we formally met over at the Patriot Roundup with the Air Para Foundation's Patriot Roundup. And I was watching some of the work that you were doing. I saw some, all the engagement that you were a part of. And it, when I went to start examining what you do, I said, man, this is small town America. And what a unique, a unique and refreshing way to approach vlogging and podcasting and getting the story. Get a story from the people and places and the actions take place.
Yeah, and it's all a God thing. 30 years, as you put it. So I spent first 15 years right out of high school and stuff in the nightclub business. And so I traveled around, and not only were we promoting the nightclubs, but bands. And so in the early 90s, 2000s, I was shooting music videos with George Strait, Kenny Chesney, and Brooks and Dunn. All the big stars back then. They were just barely breaking deals. And then when I left the nightclub business, moved back to the DFW area, they were actually some of the guys had graduated from music videos into actual filmmaking, and they were shooting a series over here in Dallas. And so I had the opportunity. They're like, hey, come hang out with us. And I got to meet John Voight, which is an amazing actor anyway. And, his best advice he gave me is like, learn everything you possibly can, and you'll always be working on a film set, because if you're an actor, you're competing against 100,000 actors for one role. And so that's kind of where that started. 15 years of the entertainment industry. And then about 4 years ago, I was going through a divorce, mentally and physically, spiritually, done. And so I walked away from the studio. I walked away from the studios that I was working at, and kind of started isolating myself away from everybody. And I just, God, I don't know what I'm going to do. I've had this imagine, 15, 20 years in all of these areas, but I don't know what I'm going to do. And he's like, get in the truck. Now, well, that's the same thing my dad used to tell me when he was mad at me and didn't want to see me either growing up. So, okay. And the family grew up on a horse ranch, and the family still owns the ranch. And my nephew calls me up, and he's like, hey, we're having a hard time getting kids to sign up on the rodeo team, get involved in FFA and all of that. We're going to start having Sunday afternoon practices here at the ranch. Would you come and mentor? And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Let me take my camera out there, and we'll film the kids, and we'll show them what they're doing wrong. And when we get out there, then it's all talking about how we grew up and how we did it. we didn't have the video games. We didn't have all this stuff. And that's where we got into, hey, this is the story.
Yeah.
This is where we need to be telling that. And just throwing it out there on YouTube and social media and trying to encourage the kids to put the video games out. And we did that for like a month.
Yeah.
And starting out with 5 or 6 kids, at the end of the month, we had 87 kids show up for the big event. And everybody then was just like, where are you going to next? What are you doing next? Where are you going next? I was like, wow, we've got to talk about our heritage and share these stories. People are wanting to hear that story.
Yeah, the cowboy heritage and the journey in rodeo and is a story that I'm not very familiar with, but the more, this one event kind of put things in like, the grit and the fire and everything that goes through that. What moment in small town tech? What in a small town Texas town told you that this was your calling? What was it? I know you talked about it a little bit right now.
Well, yeah, I like I said, it's. If you would have told me 3 years ago, I'd still be getting in the truck and going to the places that we're doing PBRs and all the events, doing Patriots roundups and just the amazing people that we get to meet with. Every time that I think I'm done, because you know as well as I know, when you edit this and do all of this and put all that together, find the sponsors and all that, it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
It's a full-time job, and it's like I'm done. I'm not going to do this one. Somebody will walk up, and I had a gentleman from Louisiana, and he's like, hey, I just want to tell you, I have 8 grandkids. And he says, and we grew up on the ranch. My son grew up on the ranch, and they all play soccer and softball. And I just knew none of my grandkids were going to get involved in the ranch life. But they saw your video, and now here we are at the world finals.
Oh wow!
Fixing to ride a calf right here. And he's like, all of my grandkids are now coming out to the ranch. So it's that now you're seeing that heritage and the grandfathers and the kids, and how they have a relationship. All from seeing one little video that I posted. So those are kind of the deals that make you go, okay, I got to keep getting in the truck and go tell somebody else's story.
Yeah, and it's like you're documenting a legacy. You agree with that?
You think about it, because our mission is to protect our history and preserve our heritage. Through doing Washington's Armor is when I really kind of realized that, and I thought I was a history buff, but when I started researching Washington's life and prior to the Revolutionary War and all that, it's like, man, where's this? It's not in history books. I didn't hear any of this stuff. And then we started digging into the heritage, and our heritage is made up of 3 elements, which is the fabric, things that we can see, feel, touch. Go to the museums and we can see this. And then it's the stories that you hear, the stories that you tell. And then it's our culture. It's where it came from.
Yeah.
And so that's our heritage. And look around today, we're ripping statues down.
Mm-hmm.
We're closing down museums. So you're not getting to see those artifacts.
Yeah.
90% of this diaries or journals or letters have been thrown away because we're all into a digital world. So you don't get to see any of that stuff. And, once you're passed down those stories and those cultures of where you actually come from, you don't know where you're doing. So.
Yeah. I was thinking about it before you came. I was actually shooting a blog message about Charlie Kirk's passing, and then I got your text message. You were here, so I didn't do it. But let's talk about that for a second, if you don't mind. We do a sidestep.
Yeah.
I was thinking about how you're in front of people, asking them questions, asking to show themselves and to tell their story and probe into, ask questions about who they are and why they do what they do. Similar to me, we're sitting here in a little bit away. We're in people's lives. When you heard the news of Charlie Kirk's passing, what was some of the things that you could speak to about that?
Well, yeah, I never met Charlie personally, but I have met a lot of his staff from the Turning Point. And, a lot of those staff members are ex-educators. And that is why that his mission was to go into high schools, into colleges, and get into the kids, because they knew what was being taught.
Yeah.
And that was why he really put that mission and that emphasis of we got to get into those schools and we've got to educate the kids. And so, yeah, so when the moment you hear that and you're, it's one of those things that, especially being a neck shot, it was, and I don't want to get into conspiracy theories and all of that other, but, that's totally trying to silence somebody who is making an impact.
Yeah.
On people's lives.
Yeah. And also it's the work we talked about right now. So you just said like, man, you know what it's like is that you want to hang up, you want to say, hang them up and say that my Small Town America podcast is over and okay, I don't want to go do that. And then you compare it to Charlie's life where he's going at it like at another level.
Right.
Doesn't his story like say, okay, man, I'm not, if he went this level, I can.
Well, it is still, and you read through scriptures and you look and say, hey, man, there's the crown, there's the crown, there's the crown. And when you come to the mortar crown, like, am I going to be in that position? And yesterday he earned it. So,
yeah. That's, and I just have so much respect and admiration for you and other podcasters that are out there, like just getting people to talk, get them activated in their, and activate their, kind of affirm themselves,
Well, and that's kind of because it's not, we're farmers, ranchers, we're Western way of life, but there's also small businesses.
Yeah.
We'll stop into a small business, and if people start something with a passion, ranchers, farmers, all of this, they had a passion. That's the reason they started. And they don't want the credit and all that.
Yeah.
But they do it so long. You get into a position, and everybody, you do something for so long that it's just what you do every day.
Yeah.
You don't think about why you started it. And so then for me to come along and go, hey, I recognize what you're doing. Tell me how you got started. And throughout that conversation, you start seeing that sparkle get back in their eye. And they're like, I do some cool stuff. And I do this stuff. And then you turn around and you start seeing them post something on their social medias or whatever, just kind of like, hey, this. And those are kind of deals that go, great, man, I sparked that. Let that spark a little bit more, got them back going, but energize and keep them going. Yeah,
that's so cool, man. I relate with you on that. At a rodeo benefit or fairground auction, and even in small business, what's truly at stake for people, for the people you're filming? How does your coverage materially help them?
Again, too, I get in the truck. I don't know. I don't know who I'm going to run into. And that's when people will call me up there. They're like, hey, we're having this event. I'm like, sweet. I'd love to cover it. They're like, okay, well, what can we do? And I'm like, I have no clue. I don't know what the story is. I don't know what to do. Our friends at Air Power Foundation that we did at the Roundup, 27 years.
Yeah.
But how many people know that they've been doing that for helping the veterans and helping the people for 27 years?
Yeah.
And for me to go, hey, I just want to kind of come out and hang out and see what you're doing and see what you're about and tell your story. And then, you saw we were just the people that are there, and you're just like, man, here's a veteran, here's a celebrity, here's this. I mean, everybody coming together to say, hey, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
Those are the things that I would go look for, and just really kind of come along. They're like, you'll run into an ex-rodeo legend who is just kind of hanging out behind the chutes and just trying to gain a little bit more, stay in the game just a little bit more, even though they're not riding and competing, but they're back there. And so jump up and go, hey, man, tell us about your career and all that. And so you kind of get to see them go, hey, yeah. And then the younger guys go, oh, I didn't know that he was a legend or he was this. And then so now they make that connection, and now he's able to mentor or whatever. Those are the things that are behind the scenes that you get to go, hey,
Yeah. I always say, like, I think what I'm hearing is that we're just vessels, and people are just on and they're just navigating. You're sitting here today, and it's like, I don't know what, I'm learning your story right this moment, just like you would in real time.
Yeah.
And you do that very well too, man. I got to say, like, it's, quick thinking. I need to get better at that. I think we can do it too, but
it is. And it's just kind of, I've been blessed that, like I said, I grew up on a horse ranch, rodeoing, and so I know that lifestyle. Grew up under a retired Army colonel.
Yeah, okay.
So at 16, he comes to you and says, hey, you're either going to rodeo and ranch life, or you have the abilities to go play sports.
Yeah.
You have to make a choice because you have two different disciplines, and I'll support you either way, but you're going to give 100% in either deal. I mean, well, I've been doing this for all 16 years. I'm going to go where all I have to do is lift weights and eat right. And that career didn't go, but then, you know, he ended up in the nightclub business and film industries and all of that stuff. So
That's awesome. Tell us about a time your work made belonging visible, who felt seen, and what changed in that town after an episode aired. Is there a particular moment in time?
Well, I mean, you know, like I said, it's always such a blessing to go into a small business, or you run into, just like I was talking about with the grandfather, and seeing that his heritage and all of that are getting back involved. Or you start seeing somebody else go, oh, it's that simple to just post little things on this, and that can help my business or help me grow.
Yeah.
But you know, it's the other thing is like an opportunity to go down and do a Clay Walker benefit in Houston. And we get down there, and like People magazine, everybody's wanting to tell Clay Walker's story. And it's like, I'm not going to get in everybody's way. But the guy that's running the event venue, who's back there behind the scenes, who never gets any credit, who is setting up the event venue, bartending the VIP parties, and then flips the event venue in 15 hours to a concert venue. And so it's like, I'm going to follow this guy around for the next day and just kind of document and hear his stories and what he goes through and all that. And this guy is just all like, oh, wow, somebody cares about what I do. Well, this whole event doesn't take place without you. You know, we don't have a bartender. We don't have an event room. We don't have tables set up. We don't have a concert stage. Nothing happens without you. You are the most important piece of this puzzle in there. And so that guy was just like, oh my, I didn't realize that you were the guy. You're the guy. Nothing happens without you.
That's such a good, it's like you see it at a higher, like a elevation. You're on top of a hill, and you say, well, that's the guy who helps build bombs, is responsible for making sure this castle gets built the right way, you know?
Well, it is. And that's kind of the thing is, like, you're sitting there like, oh, yeah, this is the guy here. But then as you start watching it, it's like, wait, this guy's over here putting on his tux and fixing to go jump behind the bar and bartend for the private party that's going on over here. And he's going to get out of his tux, and he's going to go get back in his work clothes and set up all the banquet tables and set up all the chandeliers and make sure the crew. And I was like, this guy's the story. Yeah. I mean, we got Clay Walker. Everybody knows who Clay Walker is, but this is the guy.
Yeah. That's so cool, man. I like that you have that eye, you know, as to say, this is the guy I want to tell his story. He's the one that he's been in this industry, kind of like, you know, in entertainment, how long ever, whatever his story is, you know, it's like you get to highlight it, and then his family gets to see him. And I just was like, holy cow, that's cool.
Yeah. He's never home for a reason. And this is what he's doing.
That's a good point. That's a good point. What has small town, you were raised in small town America, but now that you're traveling, and you've done so many. How many have you done? How many?
Oh, I don't. I'm up to probably almost 3,000 under that. And the funny thing is I did like 200 social media stuff, and I never said my name. And so people would start recognizing me. They're like, "Hey, I have no clue, but I watch your videos." I went back. I was like, "Oh, I guess I'd have." Because it's not about me. It's their story. It's their stuff. It's never about me. A lot of times you see my social media stuff, even though I'm standing right beside them, I always crop it where it's your center of the frame, and it's your story. It's not about me.
Okay. Well, now the question is, what has a small town America taught you?
Well, you know, I grew up in a small town. Yeah. And that's kind of the whole, whenever we decided that this is the direction that we were going to go, is, you know, again, too, you look at society today, and if you turn on news and the media, and you're just like, oh, there's no hope, there's no future. But I'm at a birthday party in a small town, and 3 or 4 year olds are yes sirs, no sirs, and probably can outwork half the guys out there at 3 or 4 years old. And I'm thinking, wow. And then I look at their dad and go, hey, this is what we need to get back to, showing that, hey, there is a generation, there is hope, and there is a future. And put down the video games, get in the dirt, get out there. And then the same way as we're seeing so much in the local just in the rodeo and the Western entertainment, is just skyrocketing, whether that's help from Yellowstone or wherever. But we're seeing record breaker numbers of people just coming out. And it's just amazing to see, because we are still, the Western sports world still is 100%. You're going to hear a prayer before every event, and you're going to hear the Star Spangled Banner. We're going to do it, and we're going to stand for it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Tell us about you. Okay, I mean, now we're talking about what's going on with the nation right now. Ironically, you have a book called Prayers for Our Nation. Let's talk about that one first, and then we'll talk about Take the Pledge after.
Right. Well, yeah, because when I left the studio, we had done Washington's Armor, and that's when I kind of realized that man, our history is just not being told. And you can see that's out on the Amazon. If you go to Amazon, you can see Washington's Armor. And then I didn't want to be the guy that's like, man, here I have Washington's Prayer Journal. I have all these research notes and all this stuff on George Washington. I don't want to be that guy that just throws it in the drawer and says, hey, I didn't do anything. So I say I'm an author. I published it. I published it, but then we also looked at, hey, the 10 Commandments, which is in debates now all over whether we're going to put them back in our schools. And so it's like, hey, let's put the 10 Commandments back in here. And then there's prayers for everything, for military, for our country, for our presidents, for our leaders, for our schools, for just Mother Earth. There's all kinds of prayers that I got from all denominations. It's not just one. It's Baptist, Methodist, Catholic, just, hey, this is a good prayer for that deal. And, just this week alone, Trump had the commissions, gathered all the guys together. You don't see it in news media these days, but he's got 13 commissioners on his faith that do that. And that is one of the things that they suggested was, hey, get 10 of your friends one day a week and just pray for the nation. And so I just kind of published that out there, and I put that out there. And you can catch that over on Amazon also. And then in the process of kind of going and saying, hey, I have this book, it's great, prayers and all this, is when I started talking to schools and stuff and realizing that we'd taken the Pledge of Allegiance out. And so it's like, wow, I didn't realize that it's an option whether your school does the Pledge of Allegiance anymore. And so I thought, well, I just need to sit down and, growing up, I saw Red Skeleton's, how he broke the Pledge of Allegiance. You got John Wayne who broke down and so I grabbed some of those monologues. You've got, McCoy, who gets up every morning and does the Pledge of Allegiance live on Facebook. And so it's like, hey, I want to showcase that Neil McCoy is doing this, and it's almost like 10 years now, every day that he's doing it. And so we started breaking that down. Well, then we started looking at the flag as well. You're not even looking at the flag. So it starts with also the history of the flag, starting with the Appeal to Heaven flag that George Washington commissioned for our naval troops. And then it just breaks down every time they commissioned a new flag, what the meaning was, what was happening when that flag, and what the stars means and all that, and how to fold the flag and how to present the flag. And so it's great for homeschool. It's great for anybody, but it was more kind of designed for, hey, let's get this out there. And so maybe you actually will take the pledge and respect our flag and respect our pledge.
Man, that is so cool, dude. I got to tell you, that is so cool. I mean, you have literally, prayers for our nation. It's actually a living entity in this world now. We're talking about it again. We're talking about it not just in this podcast, but outside of this podcast. So how things are coming full circle, that you would publish two things that really are kind of a centerpiece of how we get back to the pride of being an American and the patriotism of our nation.
Yeah, well, like I said, and that's again too, when we started this 3 years ago, getting the truck and doing the Washington's Armor thing, is just like, man, our history. And that was really, like I said, I consider myself being kind of a history buff, but when you sit there and you go, they hand you a script and you start looking at it, and you're like, well, wait a minute, this is like 20 years before the Revolutionary War. Here's Washington, who's still an aide-de-camp to the British, and how come we never talk about this? Where is this? And also coming out of COVID, you're coming out of a COVID deal where we're ripping down statues. We're, taking the prayer out of schools. We're doing all of these things. It's like, man, we got to preserve this stuff. We've got to tell this story. And
Yeah.
I can't be, like I said, the guy that just throws my notes in the drawer and walk away. Hey, let me at least publish it and put it out there.
I love it, man, because I think there's a lot of people that don't know how to pray, number one, and don't have the words to say, how to say them. And there's nothing wrong with having an owner's manual that was authorized by Christ himself,
Right.
And if those words are penetrating, and I read one of your books and I say, one of your books and read one of the pages, then I can, once I say it out loud, it becomes a living entity in my soul and my spirit too.
Yeah, and I did them in large print in 70 pages because I'm a guy and I don't like to read. So
I like large print.
yeah, I just did it in large print, 70 pages, easy to do it. And that's really kind of the deal, was just like, hey, I just want to have this. It's easy, handleable. Hey, let's just stop. Let's pray for our military. Let's pray for our law enforcement.
Yeah.
Because you're right. A lot of people's like, oh, I want to pray, but I just don't know what to pray. And that's the reason I was just like, hey, here's a pastor, here's a priest. What's a good prayer? What's a good prayer? And you had them send me a prayer. And it's like, we're just going to put it in the book and just, here it is.
That's so cool, man. I leaned on that a few times and it got me out of some mess for sure. What are you working on? What's next? What do you got going on this month? And
well, so right now we are currently on the Make America Cowboy Again tour.
I like that.
Yeah. So this is we've been following bull teams only, which is a new era in the sport of bull riding. That's more geared towards the contractor, not the athlete. So the contractor has to go find the athlete that's going to showcase their bulls and the big prize money and all that. And that was one. I was going through there and on their deal they had the red Make America Cowboy Again hat. And I was like, I got to get that. And so that just kind of started our whole thing. Well, we got the Ranch Rodeo coming up and there. We got Weatherford College is fixing to do their very first rodeos in Parker County area. And so I just like designed the whole month of September around, hey, let's cowboy, let's Western way of life and all of that. And then coming up in October, we'll kind of switch gears because there's a lot of artists going on. Our friends over at Air Power Foundation has a lot of concerts and stuff, and their big galas and stuff are coming on.
Yeah.
So we'll switch and do some Denim Dreams in there. I have a documentary that I'm hoping that I'll get to let you know where it's going to be at.
Okay.
In November.
Hey.
In November. And it's another amazing story. It's called Ride of Faith. It's about the pastor over at Wise County Cowboy Church.
Yeah.
Who at 16 got stepped on by a bull. Should have died.
Yeah.
But his parents stood on their faith and miraculously healed. And he is now running the 8 Seconds to Glory bull riding school ministry and stuff over there in Decatur. And kind of, he was doing, a couple of years ago, was doing a bull riding clinic for veterans. He'd brought in,
wow.
He brought in about 8 veterans from all over the United States. And it using bull riding, but it was a chance to fellowship, get those guys back together and all that. And I was supposed to actually go and do a PBR event, and somebody sent me a flyer, and I was like, oh, I got to go tell this story.
Yeah.
We know what the PBR is.
Yeah.
Let me go talk how this guy has taken these veterans and he's working with these veterans. And so we went out and told that story, and that's on our YouTube channel. And in the process is when the pastor was all like, hey, I want to tell it's been 25 years. I want to tell my story.
Wow.
And so we sit down and, just being a filmmaker between his parents and him. And I knew some of the pro guys that had helped mentor him and get him out over his hump.
Yeah.
And all that. I was like, well, I know these guys. And so I ended up with about 3.5 hours of just interviews.
Wow.
That we ended up narrowing down and making it an hour, 45-minute documentary called Ride of Faith. And so there's some really cool stories in there, and we're hoping that we'll announce in the next couple of weeks what we're going to do with that. So
that's awesome, man. That's exciting. That's very exciting, man. Like I said before when I started this, is like I appreciate because I know the work it takes to go in to get into people's, get in people's lives. First of all, you got to get over your own insecurities if you have any. You got to overcome those demons that tell you not to go down this path. And powering through and watching you dial into these stories that are very impactful and they build their communities out. That's the way we build our communities, right? It's by having connection and making the connections and having dialogue and meaningful dialogue. So, man, I want to tell you, I appreciate your time. I appreciate you coming over here, and we're excited for you. If someone wants to tune into small town America and your other work, where would they go?
Yeah. You can catch me on all social media platforms. But the best place is probably just go to smalltown-america.org. If you go to that's my website, and then it'll give you all the guidelines of where you can go to buy the books, where you can go to help fuel the truck and keep us going down the road. We started out as going to do a podcast. And, just sitting down, you know the work it is to get your guests, get them to sit down and all that. And it's like, man, I'm just going to do it from the truck. Yeah. God said, get in the truck and let's go. And we've had such a blast when we flipped it over to the blog, and actually being out there and being with the people and seeing the people and being at events and being able to catch the people in the moment. Those are always fun.
That's so cool, man. Yeah. In fact, for a while, my stuff was like I wanted to go to a place, a destination place, and we're going to set this up at a location. And I have a podcast that's been on the back burner that I said it's called Into the Music, Igniting the Power of Music. And it's just about talking to local bands and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I always want to get back to getting outside of the studio and doing that.
The very first one we did was at Peaster High School for President's Day. They wanted to do a President's Day celebration. And I was like, I've seen all these. I've been helping these guys do podcasts. There's nothing to it. And then we get there, and I was like, well, I just don't want to be, because a lot of times when you do the podcast and you have a crowd, it's the conversation's here, and the crowd's not, they're just kind of there. Yeah. I was like, well, no, we're going to set this up. So we had the big LED, just like you would see on game day. The audio for the first hour was terrible. The second hour, we had so many glitches. I was like, man, I can't believe I scheduled this for 3 hours, and I had all these, great guests. And finally, I had a great technician, and by hour 3, he was like, I got it all worked out. We're perfect. I was like, cool, go grab everybody. And that's really kind of how the small town deal, because I was like, we're up and running. Give me the mayor, give me the guy who runs the county store, give me anybody and everybody in this town. Yeah. We're going to interview them because we finally got our stuff together. Yeah. But, that was the deal. It's because hey, this is small town America. Yeah. This is, not only did I have my great guests, but man, I got to sit down with the mayor, and I got to sit down with this guy, and I got to sit down with the local guys, and have that conversation. And that's what we're doing.
I love it, man. Everybody matters, and especially when you're trying to create an experience, or it's part of your culture, and you're trying to preserve heritage. So I just want to tell you, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to meet you today and have you on the podcast. And that's it, guys, for Next Level Thinkers of Charting New Horizons of Brilliance podcast. As I always say, have peace and enlighten you. And remember that the ocean refuses no river.
Next level, we're reaching for the sky.